Hey, you ever wonder what it's like when a regular day turns into a nightmare in the blink of an eye? Picture this. You're on a plane, sipping a lukewarm soda, flipping through a dog-eared paperback, when suddenly, six armed lunatics stand up and start barking orders, waving guns like they own the sky. That's exactly what happened on Flight 927 out of Seattle. And let me tell you, it's a story that'll stick with me until I'm old and gray. I'm Sarah Mitchell, though back then, nobody on that plane knew my real name or what I was really doing there. To them, I was just another passenger, a woman in a faded denim jacket with a beat-up backpack, headed to Salt Lake City for what looked like a boring business trip. Truth is, I'm a major in the Army's Delta Force, deep undercover, tracking a group called the Sons of Liberty, a cult that's half militia, half doomsday preacher, with a knack for stirring up trouble. My mission was to blend in, keep my eyes open, and figure out what they were planning next. I never expected their next move to be hijacking the very plane I was on. It was a Tuesday evening, the kind where the sky's all pink and gold as the sun dips below the horizon. Flight 927, a Boeing 737, was packed 187 souls on board, from frazzled parents wrangling kids to suits tapping away on laptops. Captain John Harper was at the controls, a guy with 30 years of flying under his belt, the kind of pilot who could land a plane in a thunderstorm without breaking a sweat. His first officer, Emily Chun, was sharp as a tack, her fingers flying over the flight systems like she was born in the cockpit. They were expecting a smooth 2-hour hop to Salt Lake, maybe a little turbulence over the Rockies, but nothing they couldn't handle. Me? I was in seat 16C, a middle seat picked it on purpose, gives you the best view of the cabin without drawing attention. I had my nose in a cheap thriller novel, but my eyes were scanning the crowd, picking up details most folks miss. That's when I noticed them. 6 passengers scattered across the plane, moving just a little too deliberately. The guy in 9B, mid-40s, buzz cut, kept glancing at his watch like he was counting seconds. The woman in 25D, all sharp angles and restless energy, checked her bag every few minutes, her hand lingering like she was feeling for something heavy. Another guy in the back, young, twitchy, kept patting his jacket pocket. I've spent enough time around bad actors to know when something's off, and these folks were screaming trouble. My gut said they weren't random, they were a team, and they were about to make a move. Sure enough, 40 minutes after takeoff, all hell broke loose. The buzz-cut guy, let's call him Ethan Cole, their ringleader, stood up, pulled a sleek black pistol from his jacket, and shouted, "Nobody move. Hands on your heads now." The other 5 were up in a heartbeat, weapons out, moving like they'd rehearsed this 100 times. Screams ripped through the cabin, kids were crying, and the flight attendants froze, their training kicking in but their faces pale as ghosts. Ethan's voice cut through the chaos like a knife. "You do what we say, or we start picking you off, one by one." In the cockpit, Captain Harper and Emily heard everything through the intercom. Harper's hands tightened on the yoke, but he kept his cool, flipping the transponder to the hijack code while Emily radioed air traffic control with a coded message. "Salt Lake Center, Flight 927. We've got a situation. Request priority handling." The controllers caught the hint, and you could bet fighter jets were already scrambling somewhere out there in the dark. Back in the cabin, I kept my head down, hands up, playing the part of a terrified passenger while my brain ran through the math. 6 armed hostiles, spread out, covering every angle of the plane. Ethan was the brains, barking orders from the front. The woman in 25D, Rachel Hayes, was their tech whiz, already fiddling with some kind of device near the galley. The twitchy kid, Jake Tyler, was pacing the aisle, his gun shaking just enough to make me worry he'd shoot someone by accident. The other 3, let's say Mike Dunn, Laura Pierce, and Tom Reed, were muscle, ex-military types, their movements precise but their eyes hard, like they'd seen too much and didn't care anymore. Their weapons were clever, pieced together from parts that slipped past security polymer frames, disguised as phone chargers or laptop batteries. These weren't amateurs, they'd been planning this for months. Ethan stepped into the aisle, his voice calm but venomous. "Listen up, folks. We're the Sons of Liberty, here to wake you up. Your government's been lying to you, feeding you garbage while they tighten the noose. Tonight, we're sending a message they can't ignore." He gestured to Rachel, who was tapping away on her device, her face lit by the glow of a screen. "In a few minutes, the world's gonna hear our truth, and there's not a damn thing your corrupt system can do about it. I caught the words, Protocol Dawn, muttered between Rachel and Ethan, and my blood went cold. I'd heard whispers of it during my months infiltrating their network, a plan for coordinated attacks, not just on this plane but across cities, time to maximize chaos. My cover had gotten me close to their training camps in Idaho, but I didn't know they'd pull the trigger this soon. I had to act, but one wrong move could get everyone killed. The first opening came when Jake, the twitchy kid, got distracted. A little girl in row 6 was sobbing, her mom trying to shush her, and Jake snapped, "Quiet that kid, or I'll do it myself." He stepped closer, his gun wavering, his focus locked on the girl. That was my shot. I moved fast, sliding out of my seat, my hand snapping up to strike the nerve cluster behind his ear. He dropped like a sack of potatoes, his gun hitting the floor before he did. I grabbed it, rolled behind a seat, and shouted, "Federal Air Marshal. Everyone get down." It was a lie. I am no marshal, but it threw the hijackers off balance, made them think they'd missed an official badge. The cabin erupted in gasps and screams, but the passengers ducked, giving me a clear line of sight. Mike Dunn, the ex-soldier in 12A, spun toward me, his gun raised, but I was already moving. I fired once, a clean shot to his shoulder, and he crumpled, clutching the wound. 2 down, 4 to go. Ethan cursed, his comm cracking. "Rachel, get that broadcast out now." Rachel's fingers flew over her device, her voice hissing into a headset. "Command, this is Eclipse. Package secure, initiating phase 2. I knew what that meant. They were uploading their manifesto, probably laced with detonation codes for other attacks. I couldn't let that happen. I pulled a flashbang from my backpack disguised as a travel charger and lobbed it into the aisle. "Flash out," I yelled, giving passengers a split second to cover their eyes. The blast was deafening, a blinding pulse of light that sent the hijackers reeling. I sprinted forward, tackling Laura Pierce before she could recover, wrenching her gun away and zip-tying her wrists with a cable from my bag. 3 down. Tom Reed came at me with a knife, his Marine training showing in every move. "You're good, lady," he growled, slashing at me. "But you're not good enough." I dodged, the blade grazing my arm, and countered with a knee to his gut, followed by a chop to his neck. He hit the deck, out cold. 4 down. Ethan and Rachel were holed up near the front galley now, their plan falling apart. Rachel was frantic, her screen showing a progress bar 80% uploaded. I aimed at her device and fired, the bullet shattering it into a shower of sparks. She screamed, "No, it's over." Ethan roared, charging me with his gun blazing, bullets tearing through seats. I dove behind a bulkhead, drew my hidden sidearm, a compact military piece, and fired back. 1 shot, center mass, and Ethan collapsed, his eyes wide with shock. Rachel dropped to her knees, hands up, her fight gone. "I surrender," she whispered, her voice breaking. The cabin was silent except for the hum of the engines and the muffled sobs of passengers. I turned to the lead flight attendant, Lisa Carter, who'd been herding people to the back. "Lisa, keep everyone calm and belted in. We're landing soon." Captain Harper's voice came over the intercom, steady as ever. "Folks, we're descending into Boise. Stay seated, we'll be on the ground in 10. He'd been playing a dangerous game, tweaking our course to buy time, and it worked. Military jets were escorting us, invisible in the night sky, and FBI teams were waiting on the tarmac. When we touched down, it was like the whole plane exhaled. Emergency lights flashed outside, and FBI agents stormed aboard, cuffing Rachel and securing the others. I handed over the weapons and gave a quick debrief to Agent Tom Kessler, the guy in charge. They were planning something big, I told him. Check Rachel's equipment. There's data on other attacks. As the passengers were let off, an older guy, a Vietnam vet named Ray Thompson, grabbed my arm. "You're no marshal," he said, his eyes sharp. "I've seen moves like that in Nam. Who are you, really?" I just smiled and said, "Someone who's glad you're safe, sir." The aftermath was a whirlwind. Turns out, my cover as a potential recruit for the Sons of Liberty had put me on that flight for a reason. I'd been tracking them for a year, posing as a disillusioned vet, getting close to their Idaho compound. The hijacking wasn't a coincidence. It was their big play, meant to kick off a wave of attacks across the country. Rachel's cooperation cracked their network wide open. She spilled everything: names, locations, even bank accounts funding their operation. By dawn, Raids were hitting their compounds in 3 states and 5 countries, shutting down a network that could have killed thousands. But it wasn't just about the takedown. The passengers, people like Ray or Dr. Ellen Weaver, a therapist who kept everyone calm afterward, they showed me something. Ordinary folks, scared out of their minds, still found ways to help each other. Lisa, the flight attendant, kept a kid from panicking by singing to him. Ray tied up one of the hijackers with his belt when I ran out of zip ties. Even the suits in first class pitched in, passing out water and blankets. That's what sticks with men at just the fight, but the way people rose up when it mattered. Looking back, I'm haunted by how close we came. If I hadn't been on that plane, if Jake hadn't slipped up, if Rachel's upload had gone through, it's a dark road to go down. I still see Ethan's face, that mix of rage and belief, like he thought he was saving the world by tearing it apart. It makes me wonder how many others are out there, waiting for their shot, and who's going to stop them next time. I'm back in the field now, another mission, another cover. The shrinks say I've got some baggage to unpack from living a lie for so long, but that's the job. You do what it takes to keep people safe, even if it means losing a piece of yourself. Flight 927 wasn't just a win, it was a wake-up call. Evil doesn't take a day off, and neither do we. So what do you think? Could you stay calm in a crisis like that, or would you freeze? And what about the Sons of Liberty? How do you stop people who think they're the heroes of their own twisted story? Drop a comment, share your thoughts, and let's talk about what it really takes to face down fear. Oh, and hit that subscribe button. I've got more stories like this, and trust me, you won't want to miss them.